Hi guys, welcome to the fourth video of the Golang and JWT Authentication tutorial series. And in this video, we're going to take forward our sign up function. So I know this series is taking quite a while because we're following the proper project structure, and we have a lot of files, a lot of validation, a lot of things we are doing. But I'll try to move fast in this particular video so that we at least try to finish it in either in this video or in the next video. Let's not stretch it too much because I want to jump onto other series which are more interesting for you, like React and Golang and all those other series, right? So so let's try and finish it quickly. If you don't understand anything, do let me know in the comments below, but I'm going to try to explain everything and also go quickly at the same time. All right, so now we also had to create these two timestamps. I had shown you in the user model that we have created at and updated at, and then this user ID. So these two timestamps and this string of user ID is still left. All right, so ID is primitive, whereas user ID is going to be string. So just know that. All right. So for user ID, we'll say created at comma blank is equal to time dot parse time dot RFC 3339 time dot now dot format. So if you're from a JavaScript background, you've probably worked with Moment.js or some other time library like that, right? Time and date library. But with Golang, I have not. I've just used this time package, and I've not used any third-party library like Moment.js. If you know of any, do let me know. But I've been using just the regular old clunky little time package that Golang gives you. All right, and for user dot updated at, we're going to have the same thing. So you will say user dot updated at comma blank character time dot parse and the same thing time dot RFC 3339 comma time dot now OS small time dot now dot format time dot RFC 3339, and then you have your user dot ID, this one user dot ID, and then we'll work on user ID separately, but for now we're working on user dot ID, and user dot ID is going to be primitive dot new object ID. Just making sure I have the GitHub the MongoDB packages here. I don't have them here, so I don't have the MongoDB packages here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually include them. So after my decrypt, I'm going to say go.mongodb.org/mongodriver/bison. All right, and I'm going to say go.mongodb.org/mongodriver/bison/primitive, and I'm going to say go.mongodb.org/mongodriver/mongo. Perfect. So here we were here in the sign up function. So we worked on a user ID. Now it's time to work on your user ID, which is in your model. It's this one. All right, the string. This is the string you'll use to actually access this the user. And here you'll say user.id, which is this user.id, and you just want it to be in hex, and you're sorted. Now you want the token that you'll send to the user, right? So here we'll use a function in our helper package called generate all tokens, and it's going to return three things. One of them is token, other is refresh token, and there will be a third thing that we won't need right now. So we'll put blank here. And to generate the tokens, you're going to pass star user.email. You're going to pass user.firstname. You need to pass user.lastname. So the user, you already have the user as a model, as a struct, right? So that is what is represented by user, and your user has already received that information, right, from the request that's coming in to the signup function. In the signup function, I'd already shown you in our postman that we'll send all of this information, the email, first name, last name. So that's what we're referring here, and we're going to send it to a function called generate all tokens in the helper package. And we also need two more things. One is the user type and ampersand user underscore ID. This user ID is the same that we just created here. Okay, it's the same thing. So we created it out here, and then we're sending it to the generate all tokens function. And here I'm going to get I'm going to have to set the user.token with the token that I receive here out here, and user.refresh token is something I have to send to the user again, and I'm going to set it with the help of ampersand refresh token. So sorry, it has to be capital T actually. It's this one, right? You're sending this one to it. So our user object has been created properly now. And now you want to insert this. So now that you have tokens and everything, now you want to insert this into the database. To insert that into the database, you'll say user collection dot insert one. Since the user is signing up, along with sign up, you also have to create that user in the database, right? So this is an important step that we have to complete. And here you'll pass the context and you'll pass user. And then we'll return something called as a result, like an insertion number. Okay, so here we'll say result insertion number. If you remember, when I in the first video when I used Postman to actually sign up, we got back an insertion number. If you're not if you don't remember, you can go check out that video again. And here we'll also get an insert error. If there's an error while inserting this record into the database, we'll get an error. So that's the error that we want to handle. So to handle it, we'll say insert error not equal to nil. We'll print out the message. We'll use fmt.printf to format the string. So we'll say user item was not created, and we'll send this string that we have just formatted. So we'll say http dot status internal server error comma gen.h, and here we'll pass the error in the message. From this function we'll return and at the end, if everything goes okay, we'll say http dot status okay and result insertion number. This is what we'll send back to the user, saying that everything has been inserted properly. Thank you. Okay. Now we can either work on the login function and the get users function, or we can work on the generate all tokens function. So I think this makes more sense. It makes more sense for us to work on this so that there's continuity, and then we can work on login again. And now what we'll do is we'll go to our helpers and we'll go to our token helper. So we're already done with auth helper. We want to work on token helpers because this is the file that will have our generate all tokens function. Okay. Now I know that the first 3 videos we didn't really reach the meat of the whole authentication logic, but in this video we're actually tackling the entire logic of creating tokens, of creating the user in the database during sign up, right? So this video is kind of really important, and just give this video more time in your schedule. Just go through it properly, be more attentive so that you don't miss any important details. If you get the contents of this video right, everything else is just a breeze. So this file is also a part of package helper. So you can have multiple files, you can have all of them in the same package, and then that package, it's very easy to import that package into your other files. So that's how all these folders, all the files in these folders, they all belong to one single package. So these 2 files belong to the helpers package, these 2 files belong to the routes package, and so on. Okay. So here, otherwise we would have to import those files separately. And here you'll say import context. We want fmt to print out stuff, log to print out errors. You already know that by now. And you need OS, you need time. You've already seen why we need time. And I also need database. So I'm going to say Golang JWT project /database, and I need the JWT package. So just like in Node.js or JavaScript, you have to install an npm for JWT. Similarly, somebody has created a Go driver, a Golang driver for JWT for us already, and it's on the rijalway/jwt.go. If you're not sure about the spelling, if you're not able to understand it from this video, go and search for JWT's -go, and you'll find this package. All right, and now I just need to get my MongoDB packages, which is mongo driver /bson and go.mongodb.org/mongo driver /bson/primitive code. Now you might be wondering, if this whole part of this thing was the same, I could have just copied it, right, just to save time. I somehow like typing everything out because I know there are a lot of beginners along with me in this in this video, and they're learning from this. And the first advice that I give to any beginner is to type out every single thing slowly and understand, build muscle memory, build the basically in your brain. Just give it time to understand the syntax and get used to the syntax. If you're new to coding, if you're somebody who's been coding for a while, you won't have any issues obviously, but somebody who's new to coding, for them it's very, very important to type everything out, to understand the syntax, to get used to it. At least that's just my perspective. If you if you don't agree, it's completely all right. So we have to create something called as signed details. It's a struct, and this struct is going to have now your JWT token, right? It uses a hashing mechanism to basically take the details that you give it to give you a token. And if you want, you can go to the jwt.io website and you can decode that token and get all the details back, right? So it's just a way to store information. And the JWT token also consists of a secret key usually, and the secret key is something that's with you, that's secret. I'll be creating the JWT token using secret key, but in my environment variable, I won't be keeping a different variable called secret key. You're free to do that, you can do that. Okay, and you should do that. If you're using your software on production, you have to have a secret key here. That's the secret key that your JWT token will be using as part of the details that it requires to create the token for you. But since I'm just building it to show the demo to you guys, I don't have to do it. So Here I'll say email is string and first name is string. Then you have last name string and UID is string again. So let me just format it out so that it just becomes easier for you to understand. Now I think you can understand much clearly. You have user type. Sorry, the spelling is wrong. You have user type and you have string JWT dot standard claims. Now we'll initialize our user collection like we've done in all the other files. So we'll say variable user collection, which is of type mongo dot collection is equal to database dot open collection, and here we'll say database dot client. Sorry, we'll say database dot client. And you'll send the name of the collection that you want to access. Perfect. And we'll define our secret key. Like I said, in my case, I won't be having the secret key, but you can just go to your environment and create anything for the secret key, you know. So here is equal to os dot get environment secret key. So now comes the most important part, where we have to work on our generate all tokens function, which takes email as string. So to get these details right, you can just access your user controller and all the things that you passed to your generate all tokens, you can access them right here. All right, so there's email for sure, and then there's first name, last name. I remember this first name, which is string again, and last name, which is also a string. It takes, I know that takes user type, which is again a string, takes UID, which is a string, and then this function returns a couple of things. Okay, so let's talk about those. So one is the signed token. So if you go back to your user controller, you'll see that it's returning a token and a refresh token for starters. So we'll say signed token, which is a string, and it says signed token, sorry, signed refresh token, which is again a string, and sends back an error, which is of type error. Okay, now here we could handle the error here and here in other places. Basically we can handle the error, but that will just, you know, increase our time to code. So I encourage you to actually handle the error yourself. If you, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're used to the format by now, right? This is how you handle the error. All right, I'm not handling the error, so I've put in a blank character there. All right, so this will return an error, and this function will have some definition. So the first thing that you'll create is your claims. So the claims is going to be of type signed details that you have created here, which is a struct, and it has these details. And here we'll say signed details, where you have email. This email with a small e is what you received inside this function, and this email with the capital E is part of the signed details, which you have to complete now. And then you have first name, which is first name. Then you have last name, which is last name. I'm just using auto fill at this point, and then I'm using UID, which is this UID. Then I'm using user type, which is just user type. And then you have standard claims, JW dot standard claims. And here we're going to set our expiry. So with every token, you need to have your expiry, in the sense in how many minutes or days or weeks or whenever it will expire. And here I'm just going to give it 24 hours expiry. All right, so I'll say time.now .local. This is, by the way, why you use the time package here. .add. Inside this, I'll say time.hour, time.duration. Inside here, you'll say 24.unix. N is small. Put a comma here. Out here also put a comma, just to be sure. So that was your claims. Now let's work on our refresh claims. So for your refresh claims, obviously it's going to be again of type signed details, and it's going to have all the standard claims. So you'll say standard claims is JWT dot standard claims. So refresh token is basically the token that you get, that you can use to get a new token if your regular token has expired. In case you didn't know that, right? I'm assuming you know a little bit about what authentication is in general, but in case you didn't know, you get a token, and then if your token expires, then you use the refresh token to get a new token issued to you from the backend. That's how it works. So we'll say time.now .local .add duration. You have the same thing. .add time.hour multiple time.duration. And here, what do you think is a good number? I'll just say 168 or something like that. Yeah. Say Unix, put a comma here, and then we'll call the JWT, which is our package JWT. It has a function JWT.new with claims, and here you pass your JWT.signing method HS256, which is your algorithm to create the encrypted token for you. And here you'll say dot signed string byte, and here you can pass your secret key to create the secret token for you. Like I said, I'm not using secret key in this video. You can just go ahead and put a secret key out here. All right, and this we'll capture in token in a variable called token, which is going to be our token, which will be returning from here. And your refresh token is going to be quite similar. You'll say refresh token comma error JWT dot new with claims, same function, new with claims. And here the algorithm that we're using is exactly the same algorithm. So we'll say JWT dot signing method HS256 comma refresh claims comma signed string. Here it'll say byte secret key. Okay, let's press enter. Here let's handle the token. If error are equal to nil, so log dot panic error return, and from this function you'll return the token and the refresh token and the error. So this function is complete. It's quite long, I know, but it is quite detailed. I mean, it has all the details that we require. We're returning the token, refresh token, and error. And now I think the sign up function makes much more sense to you. It is a long function, but we have everything going on here. We have validation, we have timestamps, and we have tokens and refresh token, and we're inserting the user into the collection. It's not complicated, it's just long, right? But we're covering everything here. And then we can head over to our login function. I think we can work on the login function, and then we can also work on our get users function. So in the login function, we'll say gin.handlerfunc, and we'll return a function which takes C, which is of type g.gin.context. And here let's set context dot with timeout and context dot background. We're basically doing the same thing that we did out here, right? The same thing we're typing, just to ensure your understanding. Actually, here we can capture in CTX and cancel, so you'll understand it better. And here we'll say comma 100 multiplied by time dot second. All right. And again, just like we did for sign up, we'll define a variable called user. So we'll say variable user models dot user. If you've not understood the sign up function properly, and if you've not understood the get users function, get user by ID function properly, you can leave it on the comments below. If you have any doubts anywhere, I will be happy to help and help you understand. If you've understood those functions, then this function is not very difficult. So we're keeping another variable called found user, because the person who's trying to log in, that person needs to exist in your database. That's why you have a found user variable. And we'll say here c dot bind JSON ampersand user, and we'll use f error equal to, and we'll check for the error here. If error is not equal to nil, I'll say c.json http dot status bad request comma gin.h error, and here you'll say error dot error, and you'll return from here. Then we'll try and find that user. So we'll say user collection dot find one ctx dot bson dot m email. We'll use the user's email. So when he's trying to log in, he'll give us his email and password, and so we'll try to find the user from the user collection using his email. And the found user, we'll store that in found user after decoding it. And here we can also equate this equal to error defer cancel, and if error that we have caught here is not equal to nil, then you'll say c.json http dot status internal server error, comma gin.h error, and email password is incorrect, and we'll return from here. All right, and then we'll use a function called verify password that we'll create here. So it's verify password, where we pass the user dot password and the found user's password. So the user that is trying to log in has sent his email and password to us. Now using that email, we find that user, and then we store that in found user, and then we use the user's password and the found user's password. We send it to a function called verify password to check if they're both matching, basically. And if so we'll capture that in password is valid variable, and also the message. And here we'll say defer and cancel. Now we can either go ahead or we can work on our verify password function. So I think I'd like to actually work on the verify password function, which I've already defined the outline for here. It's going to be a very simple function. It takes, as you know, user password, which is string. It takes provided password, which is again string. All right, so let's see what we're passing out here. To verify password, we're passing the user's password and the found user's password. So that's what we're passing here. And what do we return from here? We return just a boolean and string, which is the message. Now the boolean is going to be stored in password is valid variable, which is going to be a boolean again. All right, and then this has its own definition. So we'll write the definition for this function, and we'll use the bcrypt library to compare hash and password. So we'll say compare hash and password. We'll equate that to error. So we'll say error equal to compare hash and password. This function takes the provided password. It also takes, obviously it takes the other password, right, the user password, and just compares both of them. So this function takes care of everything for us. We don't have to manually sit and compare using any string methods or anything like that, right? So it'll use its encryption and decryption, whatever it does, all the magic it does, to compare both of the passwords. So let's keep a variable called check is equal to true, and message, we'll keep it empty for now. If error is not equal to nil, that means there is an error, then the message becomes equal to fmt.sprintf email or password is incorrect, and check will become equal to false. And from this function you just return the check and the message. So check is the boolean that you're returning, which is getting caught or captured in your password is valid boolean variable, right? So this is how it's working. All right, and I think we have gone over the 20-minute mark, and I think we've even gone over the 30-minute mark. So I'll have to leave this video for now, and then I'll continue this in the next video. I know I said that I want to try and complete this, but as you can see, it's quite a lengthy project. So I thought, I mean, I seriously underestimated. I thought it's going to be just 20 minutes, but it's already been more than, I think, 80 minutes or 90 minutes already. But then we're doing so many things, right? We're like building a bulletproof authentication system. You can just copy this and paste this in all of the projects that you'll use in the future, and you'll be good to go. That's my guarantee. You'll be good to go. But obviously, after this series, I have more series planned out where we'll work on even more complex stuff, right? We'll work on advanced error messages, different types of errors like 502, 404s, 401s, 402s, 405s, and authorization. We'll work on authorization like in depth. And then I'll also help you, I'll also create a complete tutorial series on CSRF tokens, which are extremely secure tokens. So if you're not just happy with JWT, you want to take it a step further, we'll work with CSRF tokens as well. That video is going to be slightly complex, so just make sure you understand this complete series properly. So again, I apologize because this series is long, but that's how it is. So I'll create 30 minutes. I'll try, let's see whenever it gets over, right? Because I don't think we're close to the end even now. So I'll leave this video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Do subscribe to this channel so that you get all this awesome content. Thank you for watching.